Hello and welcome to Upstack America's Oracle EBS Financials Functional Training. My name is Bob and I'm the lead senior consultant for Upstack America. And with me today I have Victor, who is also a senior consultant. And today we are handling lesson 23 of accounts payables, and Victor, please walk us through.
Thank you, Bob, for the introduction, and welcome everyone to this lesson in our Oracle Financials Functional Training series. In today's lesson, we are going to see how to create a payment process request template, and we are also going to see how to stop payments once you have done them. So let's get into the lesson and start with the payment process request template. So when we are creating a payment process request, we know the steps. First, we have to find the scheduled payments that need to be picked by the selection criteria, which we usually enter. So we enter some criteria such as the pay through date. We can enter pay groups or operating units. Some of the criteria that are going to be used to select the invoices or scheduled payments that are going to be paid by that particular pay run. So in the few payments that we have done using the pay run method, we had to enter criteria every single time. However, Oracle provides a way to reduce this workload by creating a payment process request template. And this reduces the need to keep entering those selection criteria with every pay run that you want to do. Okay, so when you create this template, it will contain some predefined or pre-selected criteria that maybe the end users use regularly when they are doing their pay runs. So that's what this template does, and basically it reduces workload, makes work easier for when you're doing the pay run. In order to create this template, what we have to do is follow this navigation, and then we are going to see how to do it. Let me log out of this so we can have a new session. So I'm going to go to Developers, Payables Manager, then Payments Manager. Oh, okay. So in order to create a template, we go to this tab here that says Templates. Then what you have to enter is the template name. Sorry, this is the search when you're searching, but in order to create a template, then you hit this Create button. All right, now we know we are familiar with this page. All right, when we are doing a payment process request, we usually see this many of these fields and buttons. All right, and so this is basically what the template does. It mimics that selection process, whereby by entering these criteria that are used to select invoices or scheduled payments. So if we want to create a template, we can create ours. We can call it Maskani Developers Template 1. We can have that as a description too, but perhaps in a real implementation, then you'd have a clear description of what this template does, so that the end users can know what they are doing. So that's our template name. You can have an end date for it also, up to when this template will no longer be used. So number of pay from days, you can select how far back this template will go to look for those scheduled payments, because here we are entering scheduled payment selection criteria. So you can say maybe when you're doing a pay run and you're using this template, you want the invoices to be looked at up to 30 days ago, 1 month ago, something like that. But that's not a mandatory field. Pay through days, what does that mean? When you use the template, it will look for scheduled payment up to the ones that have the due date for the system date. Okay, so when you do additional pay through days, you are adding to the system date. So 0 is the current system date. If you add +1, then it will be system date +1. Okay, so if the system date, for example, today is the 8th of January, then if you put +1, then it will go to scheduled payments with a due date of 9th of January. Okay, so we can leave that as 0 so that it will pay invoices or scheduled payments through to the system date. You can also change the priority, and depending on the priority you assign to your invoices, then they will be picked up. We have 1 through 99. You can say that this maybe is used for priority 1 through 50, and then another one for priority 51 through 99 or something like that. These are the other criteria that we usually select. You have pay groups, legal entities, payment currencies, operating units. We can specify this to be for our operating unit Maskani Developers OU. You can also specify payment method, right? So we have these are some of the payment methods, check, and all the others that have been defined in the system. Okay, so we're using check. So maybe for this template, we can specify that we want this template to be used only when the payment method is check. So these are just some of the things which you can specify. When we're doing the payment process request, we also select or enter some payment attributes, which include the bank account. So for instance, for us, we have Maskani checking bank account, which we're going to use. Payment document, we usually use Maskani checks or whichever payment document you gave for your own setup. Here we enter a combination of the document and the payment process profile name. Okay. And of course, we have to enter the payment, the exchange rate. That's all the mandatory information that we require for our template to work. So if you have created a template, given the name and selected these various criteria and payment attributes, then you can select apply. Payment process request template, the Maskani developers template 1 has been created. So there is our template. Okay, if you want to change anything, you can come here and select update and make your changes. you can see the template is active. You can issue a request using this template directly from here, or you can schedule requests that are going to be using this template from here. So if we want to use this template to do a pay run, what we do, we go to payment process request, right? We want to submit a single request, for instance. So normally what we would do is we would come and enter the schedule payment selection criteria here, then go to payment attributes and enter that information. But now, if we want to do a pay run, Maskani developers pay run 4, then we can just come here and use template, search for our template, select, and this information is immediately pre-filled. We have our developers OU here, we have payment method and payment attributes also, you have seen have been pre-filled, and you can submit this payment process request. I'm not sure there are any scheduled invoices, scheduled payments that are going to be picked up. We're going to have to wait and see, but basically you have learned how to create a payment process request, a payment process request template, yes, and how to use it. So if nothing is picked up, we are going to have one under user terminated. The one that is under need action is the one that we've been using for $80, I believe. I think the payment didn't go through in our previous session. So you can see there were no payments that were picked up. Therefore, we have one user terminated, no invoices selected, but that's okay. Or what we wanted to learn there was how to create a payment process request template and how to use it. So next we're going to learn about how to stop payments. So when are the situations whereby you will need to stop a payment? So for instance, you have done your pay run, you have printed your checks, and then you sent them out to the vendor. The vendor will go and take them to their bank. All right, then their bank will communicate with your bank for payment to be made to the vendor's bank account. So what in the scenario whereby you have already written the check and sent it out to the vendor, and then post fact you realize that you don't want to make this payment, all right? So what do you do? One, the first step is you call your bank, right? And then because they're the ones who are going to make the payment from your account to the vendor's account, so you call them and ask them to stop the payment. After you ask them to stop the payment, then you go to Oracle and you select that particular payment, and what you do is you initiate a stop payment. All right, we're going to see all these steps in the system. We're just going over this process. Now you have initiated a stop payment. However, you don't know whether the bank was able to stop. Maybe the vendor had already deposited the check and cashed it a long time ago, so there's nothing that the bank could do to stop the payment. All right, so in that case, what happens? You call the bank, or they call you and they tell you, oh, we were unable to do this. So the bank was not able to stop the payment, so you release the stop in Oracle, right? So you remove the stop, the payment is final. If there are any negotiations to be had with the vendor, they'll have to be had after this. If the bank was able to stop the payment, then what you can do is you go ahead and void that payment, right? So when you void that payment, the payment is not going to go through, and that invoices are released, and they can be picked up by any other payment run if you're going to do one on those invoices. Otherwise, you can also go ahead and cancel the invoices. So that's basically the process of stopping payment. You ask the bank to stop, initiate the stop in Oracle. If the bank was successful in stopping the payment, you can go ahead and void the payment in Oracle. If not, then you just release the stop which you had initiated here, and the payment remains done or final. So this is the navigation for that process. If you want to initiate the payment stop, then you go to payments, entry payments, then you select the actions button and click on initiate stop. If the stop is successful by the bank, then you can go ahead and void those payments. If not, then you go and release the payment using this navigation. All right. So we are going to go to Oracle and see how to do this practically. So the first thing we have to do, of course, we have to have a payment which is in contention. So we have to find a payment. Then we'll see how to initiate stop. Let's go to the, oh, I didn't mean to log out. I meant to go home. So let's go to Maskani Developers. Let's go to payments and entry. So let's look for some payments which we have made, which we can use. I'm going to use the OU as the query criteria. So these are some of the payments we've done. We have 3 quick payments that we did from this page, and one payment here that shows we did through the pay run. So this one is already voided, as you can see, 50, 50, 50, 30, then negative 50, negative 30. So this was already voided. We have this payment of $100. Perhaps these were 2 scheduled payments in one invoice. We have 2 invoices here. Okay, anyway, so let's use this payment that was done on the 2nd of January. Paid 2 invoices, 1006, 1007, of 100 and 150 each. Okay, so now you've called the bank and you've asked them to stop the payment. Okay, so they have a request from you to stop the payment. They will get back to you whether they are successful or not. So after you do that, then you go and initiate stop payment. So what you do is you go to actions, all right, and you have this option to initiate stop. And this is the date that's recorded, a system date to initiate the stop. Okay. Stop one payment. Okay. Now, let's go to that payment again, which is this. And let's scroll. You can see you have the status of these payments. The first payment has been voided. Second payment negotiable status, and this is the one that we were using, and it says stop initiated. Okay, so our stop was successful. Now we have done this part. The bank gets back to you maybe after a day or two. Were they able to stop the payment? If the answer is yes, then you can go ahead and void those payments. Okay, we know how to void payments. If the answer is no, then what happens? You have to release the stop. Okay, so this is that payment, and to release the stop is this is the navigation. We have to press the actions button and go to release stop. So we are on that payment, stop initiated. Go to actions, and you can release the stop. Okay, let's do a fresh query. If we go to that payment again, we will see that the status has changed back to negotiable. Okay. However, if the payment was successfully stopped, then we can go to void. All right. We know this is the way to void payments. If we also want to cancel the invoices, we have that option here, or we can place a hold. If we select the option as none, then the payment is just voided. The invoices become released and available for the next pay run. All right. So I'm not going to void this. I'm going to leave it as is. So that is how to stop a payment. Okay. The big picture is scenario of when you might want to stop a payment. Right. The check has already been sent out, might be or might not have been deposited or cashed by the vendor. This is what you do depending on the situation. If the payment was stopped successfully by the bank, then you can void the payment in Oracle. If not, you release the stop and the payment remains done. So that's it for this lesson. Unless Bob, you have something to add, we can end there.
Thank you.
Thank you.